Hey there, Gearheads. Alan Bailey here, and boy, do we have NASCAR silly season news to talk about. Obviously, the big headline, the fact that Michael Jordan, NBA legend, is going NASCAR racing as an owner, but not a driver, teaming up with Denny Hamlin to own the new Denny Hamlin Toyota team. Michael Jordan Hamlin, we're not sure what it's called, and they don't either. But we do know that Bubba Wallace is going to be driving for them, apparently signing a multi-year deal. Denny Hamlin broke the news late last night on his Twitter handle, confirming that it's a single-car team, that Michael Jordan and him are the owners. It was also confirmed that Germain Racing sold their charter and will exit the series after this season, meaning the number 13 Chevy is being defunct. So, with all of that in mind, let's go down the silly season list and go through literally every car in the NASCAR Cup Series for the 2021 season. In regards to the new Michael Jordan Denny Hamlin Toyota team, we don't know anything. And when I say that, I mean we don't technically know the sponsor, we don't know the engine supplier, we don't know the manufacturer, we don't know the car number, we don't know anything about this except that Bubba Wallace is the driver, Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin are the owners. That's pretty much it. Although it is to be assumed that Bubba Wallace is bringing anywhere from $15 to $20 million worth of sponsorship to that organization. And other than that, we're assuming Toyota will be the engine supplier and assuming that Toyota will be the manufacturer with the ties to Denny Hamlin. But that's unconfirmed at this point, believe it or not. It's hard to believe that anybody but Toyota is going to be the manufacturer for Denny Hamlin's car, but it could actually happen. But more than likely, that Toyota announcement will be happening at any day now, although Chevy and Ford could get in there and bid quite a bit of money to work with Michael Jordan. Going from that all-star team to this Starcom team, see what I did there? Quinn Hoff is going to be driving the 00 Starcom Racing Chevy next season. No information on sponsorship, but it's probably going to look a lot like it did in 2020. Kurt Busch is going to remain at Chip Ganassi Racing in the number 1 for at least one more season. He signed a multi-year extension, believed to be through 2021. Monster Energy going to continuing with the car, but unknown sponsorship beyond Monster Energy. Assumingly, a lot of the same sponsors that were on board that car in 2020 are going to be back for next season. Brad Keselowski signed a 1-year extension with Team Penske back in August. He will be in the number 2 car for at least the 2021 season. After that, he could end up going elsewhere, but for now, Keselowski staying in the number 2 with Discount Tire America's tires, potentially Auto Trader, Miller Lite, and Money Lion on that car as well, but Discount Tire and America Tire only on board that number 2 car for 15 races next season. We'll see what the rest of the races look like next season. Austin Dillon is going nowhere. He's back in the 3 car. Sponsorship is unknown, but Dillon's going to be in the 3 car for the foreseeable future. So is Kevin Harvick in the number 4 car, signing a multi-year extension early this year before the season started, way back in Daytona, signed through at least 2023, if not longer at this point. Harvick's in that car until he decides he's getting out of that car. Ryan Newman is believed to be in not a contract year, but in an option year. It is believed that Newman has an option to return to the number 6 Roush Fenway Racing Ford in 2021, but we're not 100% sure on this. Reportedly, the 6 car is week to week with sponsors, meaning that they're not sure, frankly, where their next sponsors are going to come from. You notice a lot of different sponsors, a lot of different paint schemes on that 6 car week in and week out in 2020. Look for that to continue in 2021 unless Jack Roush can pull a rabbit out of his hat and find a full-time sponsor. Tyler Reddick announced earlier this August that he will be returning to RCR in 2021, assumingly Caterpillar, Bass Pro Shop, and Cabela's, and a number of other sponsors returning to that 8 car as well next season. Chase Elliott is going nowhere. He's going to be in the number 9 car for at least 2 more seasons, if not throughout most of his career. Napa Auto Parts back again next season, and assumingly Mountain Dew, Kelley Blue Book, and Hooters will be back as well. Hooters confirmed to be back for at least 3 races in 2021. Eric Almirola announced just this month that he will be back in the number 10 car at Stewart-Haas Racing next season, but it's just a 1-year extension, knowing that Smithfield will be on the car for 25 races. They'll have to make up the difference and find sponsors elsewhere for the remaining races, although assumingly no changes on this car for next season. Denny Hamlin is back in 2021 at the number 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. He and FedEx both signed through 2021. After that, well, it's up to Hamlin. If Hamlin wants to return to the 11 car, I honestly can't see him going anywhere else. The only place I could see him going is maybe if he wants to go drive for himself and Michael Jordan and be a second car to Bubba Wallace in 2022. It could happen, especially if Toyota is involved with that deal, but honestly, I see him racing for Coach Gibbs for the rest of his career. Ryan Blaney signed a multi-year extension with Team Penske way back in March of this year before the pandemic hit. Blaney is expected to be back until at least 2022 in that number 12 Penske Ford. No idea on sponsorship, assumingly Advance Auto Parts, Body Armor, and Menards will be back, but we can't say for sure. One of the big question marks in silly season is Clint Boyer in the number 14 Stewart-Haas Racing Ford. Not sure what's going on with this team yet. Clint Boyer is in a contract year. He says he wants to return to Stewart-Haas Racing, at least that's what he said back in July, and Greg Zipadelli over at Stewart-Haas Racing said just last month that he expects no changes to the driver lineup. Assumingly they're waiting and seeing what Boyer's doing in the playoffs, and even going into this weekend's race, he is still technically in it, but let's be honest, he's one of the guys who's expected to drop out at any moment from the playoffs. We'll see what happens to this 14 car. Assumingly it is an open ride, we could see Kyle Larson jump into this car, assuming that he gets clearance from NASCAR and assuming that Tony Stewart gets the clearance from Ford to hire him. Honestly, that is Stewart's dream driver. He wanted Larson to take over the 14 car years ago when he retired and ultimately didn't get that deal done. Now that Larson is a free agent, we could see him in the 14 car as early as next season. I wouldn't be surprised to see this happen. Another possibility is Chase Briscoe. Briscoe's chasing a championship in the Xfinity Series for Stewart-Haas Racing, and going into 2020, he said he would need at least 9 victories in order to jump up to Cup in the near future, and so far in 2020, he's got 8. So he's right on track to jump up to Cup in the near future. Stewart-Haas wants him up in Cup, and if the Boyer deal can't get done, I wouldn't be surprised to see Briscoe jump up to the 14 car as early as 2021, if not 2022. He's certainly on track to take over the 10 car if Eric Almirola doesn't return in 2022, but we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. There's also another rumor going around that Boyer could end up driving the 48 car. That's right, Rick Hendrick confirmed that he does have a driver already lined up for that 48 car, but has not officially announced it yet, and rumor was that Hendrick was holding off on announcing his driver because that driver is currently in the playoffs. Clint Boyer definitely fits that bill, but time will tell if Boyer stays in the 14 or hops ship over to the 48 car. I see Boyer staying in the 14 car or ending up in the Fox booth in 2021. Now, over at Roush Fenway Racing in that number 17 car, we're assuming Chris Buescher's contract is good until 2021, but that is unknown. Roush said that he signed him for a number of years, but we're not sure of his contract details. We're assuming Fastenal, Fifth Third Bank, and Sunny D will be back on the 17 car, but this entire organization is very unknown. They could go down to one team in 2021, although that is highly unlikely at this point, but at this point, we're not 100% sure what's going on with the 17 Ford, assuming Buescher will be back, assuming current sponsors will be back in 2021 as well. Kyle Busch is signed for many, many, many seasons. It's assumed that Busch's contract is good until at least the 2022 season. We're also assuming that M&M's, Snickers, Skittles, Pedigree, Interstate Batteries, and Sport Clips will be back on this number 18 Toyota in 2021. He is a 2-time NASCAR champ. I don't see Kyle Busch going anywhere, and neither should you. Martin Truex Jr. signed a multi-year deal back in 2019 to stay at Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 19 Toyota. He is the 2017 champ, and he's good until at least the 2021 season. We're going to see him in this car for years to come, I'd say. I don't see Coach Gibbs giving up Martin Truex Jr. anytime soon. Bass Pro Shops, Auto Owner Insurance, and SiriusXM all expected to be back in 2021, although nothing is confirmed at this time. Eric Jones is out, and Christopher Bell is in the number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota for 2021, assuming that DeWalt, Sports Clips, Craftsman, Reesers, and Rheem will be jumping on this 20 car with Chris Bell in 2021. It was announced back in August that Bell will be replacing Jones. Another big question mark is Matt DiBenedetto and the number 21 Wood Brothers Ford. Honestly, at this point, we simply don't know. Matt DiBenedetto said that his contract was good until the 2023 season, but the team holds the option each year to renew it year by year by September 30th. They should let us know if Matt DiBenedetto is back in the 21 Ford. If Benedetto doesn't get this ride for 2021, honestly, we could see Austin Cindric in this number 21 Ford in 2021. He's been doing really well in the Xfinity Series this season. He's well into that championship battle with his Ford corporate teammate, Chase Briscoe, and honestly, I think it's down to these two drivers for the Xfinity Championship. At least that's what it's been like all season so far. We'll keep you posted on the number 21 Wood Brothers Ford. Joey Logano is going nowhere at Team Penske. He's signed until at least 2023 with Shell Pennzoil on that car. Expect Shell Pennzoil, AAA auto insurance, Auto Trader, and Moneyline back on this car. He's your 2018 champ. He's going nowhere. William Byron announced this month that he has extended his contract with Rick Hendrick and the number 24 Chevy until at least the 2022 season. Expect Liberty University back in 2021 for 12 races, Hertz for 4 races, and Exalta for 14 races as well in 2021. Corey LaJoie announced last month that he will not be returning to the number 32 Go Fast Racing Ford in 2021. This is an open ride. Eric Jones is rumored to be in this car, but honestly, we're not exactly sure what's going on with this number 32 Ford. We'll have to wait and see. Michael McDowell is believed to be returning to the number 34 Front Row Motorsports Ford, but it's also believed that his contract is up at the end of the year. We don't know what's going on with sponsors. We don't know what's going on with McDowell. We don't know what's going on over at Front Row. We're assuming he's going to be back next season. I don't see McDowell going anywhere if he's back in Cup next season. We'll have to wait and see. Another unknown is Jtg Darty Racing, at least this number 37 Chevy. Now, Ryan Preece is currently driving it, but it's believed that Corey LaJoie could end up jumping in this car. We know that Kroger and the associated companies are going to be back on this number 37 Chevy next season. It's also believed that Bush's Baked Beans is going to be on this car next season, but nothing is official yet. It's either down to LaJoie or Preece for next season. We'll wait and see. John Hunter Nemechek is believed to be returning to the number 38 Front Row Motorsports Ford. Again, same thing. Don't know what's going on. His contract is technically up at the end of the season, but it looks like he could be returning to this car. We're still waiting for silly season to kind of shuffle out and see where everybody ends up with these cars. Cole Custer's win to make the 2020 playoffs more than likely confirmed he's going to be in the number 41 Stewart-Haas Racing Ford for many years to come. Nothing is official with him and this team, but he is a favorite of Tony Stewart and Gene Haas, and with Haas Automation on this car, it is believed that Custer is good for years to come in this 41 Ford. Chip Ganassi made it official yesterday. Ross Chastain to the number 42 Chevy for 2021. An offer was on the table for Bubba Wallace to jump in this car last month, but after not hearing from Bubba Wallace for a few months, Chip Ganassi went ahead and moved on and gave it to his second choice, Ross Chastain. And honestly, I know Ross Chastain is a fan favorite, but I wonder if the Ross Chastain hype has kind of started to die off a little bit. He's been competitive, but hasn't won an Xfinity this season and hasn't really won a whole lot in the last year. I don't think he forgot how to drive. I just think he's having an off year, and it seems like fans aren't as receptive to Ross Chastain as they once were. The question comes up, why didn't Chip Ganassi hire Ross Chastain way back in the pandemic when he fired Kyle Larson? Well, Chastain was at the moment filling in for Ryan Newman and couldn't leave that car per the contract he signed, meaning he had to hire Matt Kenseth, former champ that was admittingly sitting around in retirement. It's a little surprising to see Kenseth come back, and a number of fans were excited, but the fact that you have a former champ in that car struggling means that Ross Chastain will be struggling next season in this number 42 Chevy. Hopefully Chastain and Chip Ganassi can figure things out with this car, and same with the number 1 car. But honestly, Chastain has an uphill battle in 2021. Best of luck to him. Richard Petty Motorsports is the big question mark and the big unknown. Not really sure who's going to be in this car. It was announced earlier this month that Bubba Wallace was going to be leaving this car. Now he's going to the Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan team for next season. But the question remains, what's going on over at Richard Petty Motorsports? Honestly, we're not sure. Worldwide Technology donated a bunch of money to that organization to keep it afloat. That money's going away after this season. The U.S. Air Force is year to year. Don't know if it's returning this season. Not sure if McDonald's is coming back this season. Supposedly Cash App is going to remain with this car, but also supposedly Cash App is going with Bubba Wallace to the new team. Same with Columbia Sportswear and DoorDash. Pretty much the only sponsor that we know for sure is going to be on this number 43 Chevy next season is Victory Junction. Other than that, sponsorship is a huge unknown for next season. They do get their engines from Earnhardt Childress Racing, and it is believed that Dillon is going to slip into this car next season because of their connection to RCR. Now, it's important to note that Richard Petty Motorsports works out of a building on the RCR campus. Essentially, they're a satellite team for RCR. I'd be surprised if it was anybody but Dillon in the number 43 Chevy next season, but honestly, we could see Erik Jones, Corey LaJoie, and highly recommended Daniel Suarez. Yeah, it's believed that Suarez is going to be in this car as well. At this point, I think it's between Dillon and Daniel Suarez. It 110% depends on who brings more sponsorship dollars to the table, and at the moment we know that Daniel Suarez has more sponsorship dollars behind him than Dillon does, so time will tell if it's Dillon or Suarez in the number 43 Chevy next season. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is believed to be returning to the number 47 Chevy next season. His contract is supposedly up at the end of the 2021 season. Kroger and NOS Energy Drink back on this car next season. Expect no changes with this organization. The other big domino that still needs to fall in the Cup garage, the number 48 Hendrick Motorsports Chevy. Now, Ally Financial is on this car until at least the 2023 season. Now, Bowman has been rumored to be jumping into this car and somebody else to the 88. Erik Jones is on the list. Corey LaJoie is on the list. John Hummer Nemechek. Supposedly, though, Kyle Larson is the front runner for this Chevy, assuming that Rick Hendrick can work over his negotiation magic and convince Chevy to give Larson another chance, although that seems like an uphill battle. If Larson doesn't slip into this car, honestly, it could be between Erik Jones and, more likely, Clint Boyer jumping in this car. But it's still unknown. It is still a huge question mark. I don't see Kyle Larson given the green light from Ally Financial. I see Alex Bowman in this car and somebody else in the 88 car with a number of different sponsors. But again, it depends on who brings more sponsorship to the table and if Larson can get the green light from Chevy to drive for Rick Hendrick next season. I think it could get done, but at this point, Larson has not applied for reinstatement with NASCAR, and that is not really a lengthy process, but it's still a process that needs to happen, and maybe Larson's just waiting until he gets the approval from Chevrolet to drive for Rick Hendrick. Maybe Larson's just waiting to see if any bigger offers come along. Maybe Larson's not even talking to Rick Hendrick. We don't know. It's all rumors and hearsay at this point. We'll keep you updated on what's going on over at Hendrick Motorsports as we hear it. Spire Motorsports is another interesting case. Now, could see Justin Haley driving the number 77 Spire Motorsports Chevy next season. Could see Corey LaJoie in another car as well for them. Reportedly, they're expanding to 2 cars in 2021, but who the drivers are and what the car numbers are for Spire Motorsports next season, we're not 100% sure yet, and neither is Spire Motorsports. I think they're still trying to find sponsorship and still trying to figure things out and see where all the drivers fall to see who's going to be in their car next season. But Justin Haley and Corey LaJoie are the front runners to take over both cars over at Spire Motorsports next season. Alex Bowman signed a contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports way back in May, so he'll be returning to Hendrick in some capacity, either driving the 88 with Axalta, Valvoline, Cintrix, Lumas, and Chevy accessories on the car, or more than likely, Bowman's jumping over to the 48 car with Ally on the car, and somebody else is going to be driving the number 88 Chevy next season. Again, we have to wait and see what's going on with this organization. It's still kind of a question mark, but supposedly Hendrick already has a plan and has already signed a few deals, but just hasn't announced anything yet, and everything is so secretive over there, we're not 100% sure what's going on yet. We'll wait and see what Rick Hendrick says. Gaunt Brothers Racing went full-time NASCAR Cup Series racing for the first time with Daniel Suarez in 2020. It was announced this month, however, that Suarez will not return to the team next season, taking most of their sponsors, and where does that leave this organization? Honestly, we're not 100% sure. Toyota wanted to keep Suarez, so it is likely that Suarez could end up at another Toyota team, but Suarez could end up going down to the Xfinity Series driving for a Toyota team. Honestly, I don't see Suarez staying in a Toyota in the Cup Series next season. I don't know what's going on with Gunn Brothers Racing. Supposedly, they were part of the deal, at least the supposed deal, with Denny Hamlin and with Michael Jordan's team, but now that has fallen apart and Gunn Brothers Racing is kind of left in the unknown. We don't know who the driver for the 96 Toyota is going to be next season. We don't know who the sponsor is going to be next season. And honestly, I don't know if they're going to necessarily be at the track week in and week out as a full-time Cup team. They could be a partial team. They could close down entirely by the end of the season. We're not 100% sure. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Gunn Brothers Racing. A couple of part-time and unknown cars for next season. Tommy Baldwin Racing. He had Josh Bilicki and JJ Yaley in it a number of times, but we don't really know what's going on with this car. They could run the Daytona 500 and a handful of other races here and there, particularly at the restrictor plates, but don't expect Tommy Baldwin to make a full-time Cup Series return anytime soon. Same with Colic Racing. They could expand to the Cup Series full-time. They run a number of Cup Series races, but nothing is 100% official yet with this organization. Justin Haley drove for them a number of times in the Cup Series. He could jump up to Cup full-time with this organization, but sponsorship is an issue. I don't see them necessarily making the jump full-time to Cup next season, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. We'll have to wait and see. Couple of huge question marks for next season. Justin Marks reportedly will form a Cup team as early as next season, although 2022 seems like a better year to start a team in the Cup Series with the new car. Details have not been announced, but last month he was talking about how he's going Cup racing as an owner-driver, but no other details have come about since. Another team that may or may not be going Cup racing in the near future, the number 50 Money Racing Team. This is the team that is supposedly owned by Floyd Mayweather and is supposedly going racing sometime in 2021. They were at Daytona looking to hire people, and Floyd Mayweather was talking about how his team's going to be at the track in the near future, but honestly, since Daytona, we have heard nothing from this organization. All of their social media and websites are still active, but we've heard nothing from this team. This is one of those might just go quietly into the night and never actually see the light of day teams, but it could happen sometime in the near future. They might be waiting for the 2022 new car. We'll have to wait and see what's going on with Floyd Mayweather. And two teams that are unfortunately victims of the coronavirus and 2020, Germain Racing and Levine Family Racing. The number 13 and 95 respectively will not be returning to NASCAR competition, both organizations closing their door at the end of this season. We're not 100% sure where Ty Dillon is going yet, and Christopher Bell is going to the 20 car. That is every NASCAR Cup Series team and what is their current plans as of September 22nd, 2020. Let us know what you think in the comments. Personally, Michael Jordan going NASCAR racing is probably one of the biggest things to happen to NASCAR in a number of years. It's bringing a lot of outside interest, and based on how everybody's reacting this morning, it's all positive. We'll wait and see what his car number, what the sponsor, and what that organization will look like, but more than likely it'll be a Toyota. I'd be surprised if it didn't look like this, but we'll have to wait and see what's going on with that organization as the weeks come about. Let us know what you think in the comments about Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin going Cup racing as owners in 2021 in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching the video. Give us a like and don't forget to mash that subscribe button to be part of our 1,000 subscriber giveaway, hopefully happening sometime soon. It may or may not be some tickets to an upcoming NASCAR race. And also make sure that you log on to AmericanRacingNetwork.com for the latest NASCAR silly season news. For ARN, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see ya at the track.